And so I am very happy to have him here. Today, he has coached many, many, many people regarding their pitch. He has helped many businesses move forward. And if you haven't taken his name down, I think that you should. So that's a hint that you should, because he will definitely or can definitely help you all in your business as you move forward. And without further ado, I'd like for Mr. Peterson, Mr. James Peterson, to take the floor at this time. Thank you.
Colette, thank you very much. That was very, very kind words that you said. I'm happy to be here. Very nice to meet all of you virtually. One day we'll meet in person, hopefully. I see some names that I do recognize, so I know some of the folks online this evening. Looking forward to catching up with some of you. So we got a really good program. So like Colette said, I'll give you a little bit more background on myself. I currently work for M&T Bank in the business banking, vice president of business banking, and my title is small business ambassador. The way that I came to the bank is not your normal route. I'm not a finance major. I'm not an accountant. I didn't study finance in school. I'm actually an engineer. But the way I came to M&T Bank is by root of my business. I had a business that I moved down from Pennsylvania to Baltimore in '97. I was fortunate enough to have a successful exit in 2013. And I began working as a SCORE mentor. How many of you are familiar with SCORE? SCORE is one of the great unsung resources in this area and across the country. So I started, somebody helped me early on in my serial entrepreneur journey. Somebody pointed me to SCORE when I was in my early 20s. They were very helpful to me, and I made a commitment to myself that as soon as I was able, I was gonna become a SCORE mentor and help some other folks. So I started doing that in and around Baltimore and up in Philly. And then 2015 came around and we had the Freddie Gray incident, and the local city government needed some what they call boots on the ground. They need somebody to go into these neighborhoods, work with these young folks, work with individuals, building some equity into these communities. So I took that position to work with the city, and I needed a financial partner because there was no budget. It was a position, but no budget. And I had certain things that I wanted to do. I needed a financial partner. So I reached out to the bank that I had always banked with, which was M&T Bank. M&T then funded for the next few years all my endeavors. And eventually, after a few years, they said, hey, listen, why are we funding you to work for somebody else? Why don't you come work for us? So they created a position for me. I'm very fortunate to be working with M&T Bank. They have if you didn't know, they have a dedicated team for minority and women-owned businesses, and that's the team that I'm on. Very proud to work on this team. I'm fortunate to be able to work for an employer that understands the needs of minorities and women. So that's enough about me. What I want to hear is about you. So I'm going to share my screen. I think I have that ability. And we're going to get right into it. And so this is me. This is what we're doing. We're practicing your pitch. Now, this is a part of, I want to be very clear with my program tonight. Number one, we're going to do a section of a program that's much larger. When I teach this course, it takes 3 nights. We're just going to do a section of it. We're going to call it Practicing Your Pitch tonight. So you may see some things in here that we're not going to touch on. If we have time at the end, we may go back and cover some of this, but we're not going to do the whole program. And number 2, I want to be clear that I am not going to dazzle you with my PowerPoint skills, right? My slides are not that great. You're not going to see things flying. You're not going to see a bunch of colors. You're not going to hear music and sound, right? So we're going to have a conversation. We're going to chop it up for a little while. The words will be on the page, you know, that's just going to point us in the right direction. But we're here to conversate about your business. Okay, so again, don't look to be dazzled. we're going to have a conversation. So if you see something and you have a question about something, raise your hand, jump in, come off mic, say, hey, Jim, you know, can you explain that further? Jim, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I didn't understand. You know, so feel free to jump in. We are going to leave some time at the end for questions, but along the way, you know, just jump right in. So what we're going to cover tonight, like I said, this is a large program, but what we're going to cover tonight are introductions, right? I want to hear who you are and what you're doing. So briefly, I'm going to ask each of you to come off mic and tell me a little bit about you, what you're doing, and at least what industry you're in, right? We don't want to get into specifics, but I want to know a little bit about who you are and what you're doing so we can get through this and move on. Then we're going to go to how to pitch, right? That's why you're here. We want to talk about how to pitch, best ways of pitching, what to include in your pitch, etc. And then we're going to do some questions, right? And like I said, if we have some time at the end, we might get into some of these, why you want to participate, identifying the right competition for you, what to do before the competition and what to do after the competition, right? But that, again, that's a part of a bigger program that we may not get to tonight. So I think I could see everybody, but if I miss somebody, please forgive me. You can either raise your hand if you want to go first, or I can just go down the screen and call on folks, and you guys can tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're doing. So if nobody's jumping in, I'm going to start calling names. I see Kay Dunn.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So I sell body butters. I started selling the body butters in the month of May. I attend pop-up shops on the weekends. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say.
That's good. That's good. That's good. We're keeping this real brief. We'll get into some details later. Right now, who you are and what you're doing. Thank you. All right, Shelly Eldridge.
Why did I know that I was going to be next? Hi, Jim. As you see, I'm Shelly Eldridge, and I am a life coach. I focus on helping determined women to successfully accomplish their goals. And I've been doing it since May of 2020. So really just trying to refine what I'm doing, who my audience is. I've been really working at it since then. And now I have a product that I can sell, that I can really talk to my audience. I know how to speak to them and just really working things out like that. So yeah.
Great. Man, it's a tough time to get started, but it's never a good time to get started. So I'm glad you started.
Yeah. Thank you.
And let me see who's next on mine. It's somebody I'm familiar with, but I can't see her name.
Somebody jump in there.
Hello. I'm sorry. My name is Sakina Stamper, and I am a real estate agent. I'm also a caregiver to my father, who's a quadriplegic. And I have a few business ideas that I am working through right now. And I plan to, make a business plan for 2 of them. So I will be working on, putting those out there in the world this year.
Okay. All right. Are you looking to start 2 businesses, or are you just doing 2 business plans?
No, I'm looking to start 2 businesses.
Okay. All right. Are they at all related to each other?
Sounds interesting, but they're not. It would be great if they were, but that's just not how these divine downloads come to me, and they just come to me, and they just come to me a lot. So it's 4 of them right now, but it's 2 of them specifically that I feel led to develop.
All right. Thank you very much for jumping in there. And let's go to Miss Jeanette Glover Kirklevet. Did I say that right? Kirklevet?
No, but that's okay. It's Janet Glover Kirkfleet. But yeah, don't worry, it's mispronounced and misspelled every day. Ladies who are not married, do not hyphenate. It is silly. Anyway, I am a clinical mental health therapist and career counselor. I'm a director of the Baltimore Job Hunter Support Group, which is now part of a larger nonprofit called Life Career Pivoteers. And the part that I'm going to pitch here is part of our program that's called Teamworks, which is a 12-week live but virtual outplacement program for people who have been laid off who are age 40 plus. We offer the same level of instruction and actually more than your Lee Hecht Harrison or your Randstad Right Smart, and that we're very hands-on, and we can do it for the third of the cost. So that's what I'm going to be pitching.
Great. And I know you from Innovation Works. I don't know if you know me from Innovation Works, but I know you from Innovation.
Oh, this is the 3rd time I've heard your pitch talk, so I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Good to see you.
You also know me from ETC. I think that's right.
ETC, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you did this pitch talk for Baltimore Core. And yeah, so I'm glad to be here. Even though, I know you don't think your slides are very exciting, but I think they're fine.
Oh, we're gonna have some good conversation though, as always.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's see who else I have. Dr. Paula Langford.
And I was just about to unmute myself. Good evening, James. My name is Paula Langford. I am a clinical social worker for the District of Columbia, but I also have my own private practice, the Healing Institute, right here in Baltimore. I am a brain spotting therapist, and so I provide online counseling. As a matter of fact, that's why I was late today, online counseling and therapy, but I also am a trainer and an entrepreneur. I'm starting a clothing line.
Wow, nice. I would have never put that together, but nice. I got Nick Sweeney.
Hi, James.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm Nick Sweeney, National Board Certified Health Coach and founder of Amani Nicole Wellness, a wellness spa for women that makes healthy beautiful with an innovative approach with natural energy boosting, stress relieving therapies, coupled with evidence-based health coaching.
Nice, very nice, thank you. Isis Peace.
Hi, James.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. So I am a holistic health practitioner, specializing in massage therapy. I got licensed in massage therapy February of 2021, and I started my business, Pink Cloud Holism, in April of 2021. So that is my main focus with my business right now. That is the foundation of my holistic health career, and I'm still looking to get my LLC. I actually was just talking to M&T because I bank with M&T about opening up a business account. So, and they were very helpful. So
excellent.
Yes.
So whoever you're speaking with, just let them know that you want to be in touch with the Minority Women-Owned Business team. We can do some things. We can do some things that others in the bank can't do.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
All right. How about Ann Spear?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm not in a place to show my video, but glad I can be here. I am in the processing of really doing some market research and writing out my services and tightening up a service around offering a narrow I'm calling it a narrow aware certificate. So it will be a training for businesses and managers in creating and demonstrating that they're a neurodiverse friendly organization. So it will be supporting doing some talent mapping to help align with job descriptions, team building and collaboration through policy reviews, and training for HR and managers to be able to incorporate neurodiversity in their teams. There are a couple other services like coaching and strategic planning that I'm like playing with if I can put it all together that I've been doing, or if it needs to be separate, or if I should focus on one. So those big questions of, you know, if you just do one thing at a time, or how you put a brand together that offers several things.
All right, that's excellent. You'll find that I'm a proponent of not doing just one thing. You know, a lot of coaches will tell you, no, concentrate on one thing. I say concentrate on what you can handle. If you can handle 3 things, do 3 things. If you can't handle it, then you got to narrow that back. But
I like that advice.
If you can do it, do it. What's the worst that can happen? You have to eliminate one, right? I'd say do it all. How about Miss Mia Orange?
Good evening. I have an event in decor business, and we focus really just on taking the stress and worry away from you so that you can enjoy your event and have a true event experience.
Nice, nice. Thank you. Teresa Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I am, something wrong with my video. I'm sorry, I just turned it on, but I see you can't see me. I am the founder and principal designer at His Wingspan, where I offer engraving and sublimation services in order to personalize products for various consumers as well as organizations. I have 3 product groups. They are awards and recognition, home and office accessories, as well as leisure items.
You said His Wingspan?
Yes.
Nice, nice. Thank you. Bathsheba Rice.
So good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, rather.
Did I get that right? Did I say that correctly?
You did. You pronounced it correctly, yes.
Thank you.
I own a home furnishing, an online home furnishings boutique, and we create handcrafted luxury home furnishing items, which is created to elevate the style and aesthetic of any space or environment.
Wow, that's different. That's different. So how's that going? Just briefly, with a handcrafted these specialty items online, is that working?
It is. It actually is. I started the business last year. We just launched the business last year online in April of 2021. And right now,
there's some brave folks on the line. You guys started businesses right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, sure did. So I actually am in the process of relaunching new collections to the site. So
excellent. Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, this one, I'm going to take a stab at it. Rokia, Jegid, Jedid, Jeged, Jegede.
You did good. Jegede.
Jegede, okay, I got it eventually.
Right. Yes. Hi, I'm Rakia. I'm a technology consultant and I provide customized solutions to small businesses, and I work with many nonprofits providing a combined CRM donor management system. I also working on a project on a crowdfunding application to expand my reach to help more small businesses take off, especially during this time of COVID.
Excellent. Thank you. Need.2. Am I saying that right? Need.2. All right, I guess they can't come off mute. Is there anyone else that I missed? All right, looks like we got everybody. And we can go ahead and move on. So I'm going to skip a couple of slides. Like I said, we're going to go down to how to pitch. Where are we at? Okay. How to pitch. So what we're going to see is a long list of items that you need to cover if you want to pitch. I'm sure you've seen many of these, if not all of these before, and we're going to just take one at a time and just work our way down. And again, as I'm covering these and you have questions, jump in, raise your hand. I can't always see your hand because I can't see everybody on the, you guys are in a small window at this point with me sharing my screen. So just jump in and say, hey, Jim, I got a question. Let me know that you want to jump in. Number one, know what you're pitching for, right? Are you pitching for money? Are you pitching, because there's a lot of pitch programs. If you hadn't noticed, right? There's a lot of things you can be pitching for. Sometimes you have to pitch to get into a program, to get into an incubator or an accelerator. Sometimes you pitch for retail space. I don't know how many of you are in the Baltimore area. It sounds like a lot of you are in the Baltimore area. And if you've heard of Howard Row down on Howard Street, or if you've heard of Remington, there were two competitions. I was judges and coaches in both of them, where these folks gave away 3 retail spaces. And what you get was 12 months free rent, right? First of all, you get a retail space and they help you with the build out. So you get a store that looks the way you want it to look, and you get free rent for 12 months. And special terms thereafter, right? If your business is successful, you get some special terms with the landlord thereafter. So you could be pitching for some retail space. Some very nice businesses have opened up already in both those areas, both Remington and Howard Row. You ought to check them out. Nice minority owned, women owned, some really nice spaces and some great opportunities for these folks. Really good people. So you could be pitching for a lot of different things. It's not always just money. There's many things that you could be pitching for, but you need to know why you're pitching, what you're pitching for. You should craft your pitch for that purpose, right? If it's money, then you want to know exactly how much money it is and what you're going to do with that money. If a judge, or in your particular case, you guys are going to, on this initial pitch, you're going to do it on video and there's not going to be any questions. But eventually, when you're pitching in front of judges, they're going to have questions. And I guarantee you one of the first questions is going to be, what are you going to do with the money? Right? And you need to know exactly what you're going to do with the money, not kind of what you're going to do with it. Exactly. Be specific and know exactly what you're going to do with that money. Whatever that amount is, you need to share with those judges that you're going to use that. You need that amount and what you're going to do with it and what effect it's going to have on your business, how it's going to help you. Right? The worst thing you can do is say, well, I need $150,000, but I'll take that $5,000 y'all giving away. I'll throw it in the pot and we'll figure it out later. Right? That's it. You're done. Right? You need to show that you need that money that they're giving you, no matter how much it is, and what you're going to do with it, right? Because everybody wants to know that they're being impactful on your business. The reasons why we do these pitch competitions, and I do a lot of pitch competitions all over the country. Prior to COVID, I was taking people to Detroit, San Francisco, New York, Philly, Detroit. I think I said Detroit. Down south, Charlotte, North Carolina. There's competitions everywhere. There's some young ladies in Baltimore who have won thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be specific, just in pitching, because they go for it. They go where the money is. When I tell them that there's a pitch competition in New York, they're like, what time and what's the date? I found it funny when I came to Baltimore from Pennsylvania, from Philly to be specific. And I was telling people about different things going on around the country, and And it was just surprising to me how much people in Baltimore did not travel. Even to the point where my initial office when I started working for the city was in East Baltimore. We were in the old Eastern High School building. And I would be talking to people who were over west, and they were like, "Oh man, you way over there." I'm like, "Way over there?" You know, people on the west side don't even come to the east side. It just sounded strange to me that people, you know, had not traveled very much in Baltimore. But you got to go where the money is. So we do one big competition over in Salisbury, Maryland. You know, it's a 2-hour drive. And I have a hard time getting people over there. But in that particular competition, you can win up to $100,000. And I find it strange that people try to tell me that they can't take a 2-hour drive to try to win $100,000. And since I've been taking people over there, we've been killing it. Baltimore has been killing it. And in this last competition that we had, I think out of 5 people, what they did was they broke it up and awarded 5 companies a certain amount of money. I think 3 of them were from Baltimore. So, you know, it's worth the trip most of the time. And if you get the right coaching and the right, you know, you get the right pitch, which we're going to talk about tonight, it's a good possibility you can walk away with some money. So again, if it's money, be specific. If it's a retail space, right? So know what that win is. Those folks who won those retail spaces in Howard Grove and over in Remington, they did their research. They found out exactly what that space was going to be, how many square feet, where it was going to be, and what they were able to do in their pitch was to say exactly what they would do with that space. We're going to do this. We're going to be selling this. It's going to look like this. This is our theme. These are the people we're going to attract. We know how much traffic goes down that street, et cetera, et cetera. You've got to know what you're pitching for. All right. So, and you want to be very specific. Any questions around that? Number one?
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
My question is, can you tell us when the Salisbury pitch is going on again so I can put it on my schedule?
Absolutely. You got to connect with me, though. We can do that at another time. That's the other reason why you want to connect with me. Now, I put my LinkedIn in the chat. I'm going to let you know when these pitch competitions come up, right? Inside and outside of Baltimore. So you want to stay. So if there's no other questions on number one, we're going to go to number 2. Know your numbers, right? Yeah, I know everybody's heard that a million times. You got to know your numbers, and it's very important. Again, once you pitch, somebody's going to ask you, what are your margins, right? What are your profit margins on what you're selling? You need to know that. You know, what is it going to cost you to acquire a customer? We call that CAC or CAC. Right? What's your CHC cost or what's your CAC cost? You need to know what's it going to cost you to acquire a customer, right? Things like what are your landing costs? If you have a product and you're manufacturing it overseas or even somewhere else in the country, you know, what does it cost you to get it in your hands, right? That's your landing cost. What does it cost you to manufacture it? If you're providing a service, there's a lot of service companies that you guys have online tonight, right? What does it cost you to provide that service? All right. So the way you determine that is what's your time worth. So many people don't value themselves properly. I have a woman who makes these custom baskets, right? So she makes these baskets all year, and she sells them at Christmas time. Now she makes the basket. Right? She doesn't just buy a basket and start putting stuff in it. She makes the baskets, and then she puts all these, you know, exotic things on the inside. And then she starts pricing them. And you know, you can pay $120, you can pay $150 for one of her baskets. But when you look at the stuff that's inside and you look at all the time it takes her just to make the basket itself, and the hours she spends driving around to find these things. She'll drive up to New York to grab some of the things that she wants to put in these baskets. And you know, it's no way that she's valuing her time in these. She's looking at what's in the basket, and she, you know, like most people, she'll double it. You know, the basket cost me $75. I'm going to charge $150, and that's cool. but she probably has $300 in that basket. So she's really losing money. So you have to know how to price things right. And that's what know your numbers mean, right? Being able to price correctly. Just because the items or your raw materials cost you $75 and you think you're making money by doubling it, you really aren't, because the hours that you spend putting that thing together, whatever that thing is, you have to get that back. Because as you scale, as your business grows, it's not going to be you doing this. It's going to be somebody else. And if somebody else has to go to New York to pick up these items to put in your basket, you got to pay that person, right? So why not pay yourself? I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice. So again, know your numbers, know your labor costs, know your overhead. If you're operating out of your house, you have to know what does it cost you to operate your business out of your house? What percentage of your household expenses are going into that business? If you have an office in your home, or if you're working out of a bedroom or a portion of your dining room, you need to know how much of your monthly expenses in your home are going towards your business. You need to know that for tax write-off purposes as well. If you're not calculating that, you're losing money, because you can write that off on your taxes. But you need to know what those expenses are, because that goes into your pricing. You have to factor all of that into your pricing of your service or your product when you're selling it. Everything has to be included. All right, so any questions on knowing your numbers? All right.
Mr. Peterson, I do have a quick question. Is there a standard calculation? I know we all have different industries, but is there some type of calculation that we can use to, you threw out CAC, but in short, is there a calculation that we can use to figure out these numbers, or a website we could look at?
No, it really isn't. You just have to see, when you talk about customer acquisition, you first have to figure out how you're going to acquire your customers, right? Are you going to do that online? Are you doing postcard mailings? Are you doing TV ads? Are you doing a billboard? So depending on how you're going to, or are you doing all of the above? Right? So if you're doing 3,000 postcards and it's costing you, I don't know what a postcard costs these days, whatever a postcard costs, you have to take that number. And then how many customers are you getting out of that, right? So whatever it costs you for 3,000 postcards plus postage, and you're getting one customer, then it's costing you that total amount for one customer, right? That's your customer acquisition cost. All right, if you get 10, you divide that number by 10. If you get 1,000, you divide that number by 1,000. That's your customer acquisition cost for that medium, right? For postcards. And then if you're paying for Facebook, advertising, whatever it costs you to do that Facebook advertising, divided by the number of customers you actually acquire, that's your cost for that. And you just have to keep going down the line, right? And then if you're doing them all, you add that up and divide it by the number of customers that you have, and that'll give you your customer acquisition costs. But that's the formula, whatever it costs you divided by the number of customers you get. But there really is no, there is no broad formula for, you add this and you minus that and you divide it by that and you come up with the customer acquisition cost. It depends on how you're doing it. Does that help?
It does a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so number 3 is an easy one. Look professional. Right, so this is going to be on video, and you might think, oh well, it's just video, and they'll see me and they'll hear me, and that's good enough. That's not good enough. It's never good enough, right? You wouldn't go into an interview, a job interview, that way, even if it were on video, right? So you always want to be professional. If you have company attire, wear the company attire. You have a company shirt. If you're a cook, you want to wear if you're a chef, I would say wear your chef outfit. I don't know what that's called, but you want to wear it. You want to always look professional. I'm working right now with I call her a young lady. She's younger than me. She's a pharmacist over in West Baltimore. And I try, you know, when we go out, when I'm introducing her to some folks, she never wears her pharmacy jacket. And I had to keep telling her, put your pharmacy jacket on. She's like, oh, well, I need, you know, I'm not working. So what I need to put my pharmacy jacket on? Because you need to look like a pharmacist, right? I pitch to these folks that you're a pharmacist. You ought to look like a pharmacist when I introduce you, right? So you always want to be professional. It may not make sense, but in people's minds, you know, you have to get them to see the vision, right? So if you're pitching, no matter where you're pitching and who you're pitching to, if you're pitching yourself as a life coach, you ought to look like a life coach, right? Not an athletic trainer, right? Because that's confusing them, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, you ought to look like that because you're trying to sell the image. So always be professional, look as you are, right? Or at least as you hope to be. And if you know, we see a whole lot of different backdrops. And, you know, I'm kind of funny about my backdrops. I got a whole bunch of backdrops. I got a backdrop for everything. My kids tell me that, two of my kids are in tech, so they tell me that backdrops are the new ringtones, right? You can tell a lot about a person about their backdrop. So I'm kind of funny about my backdrop, but you want to make sure that your backdrop is professional, right? Clean, whether you want to do a virtual. I've seen some I've seen some crazy backdrops, right? I've seen some bed sheets with some writing on it and you know, some really bad backdrop. You don't want to do that. All right. Now everybody can't have a green screen with, you know, with some fancy stuff going on behind you, but just make sure that it's presentable, whatever it is. And I think that goes without saying. I don't think anybody on this call would have an issue with that, but make sure it's professional. You look professional, your backdrop looks professional. Check your stuff beforehand, make sure your audio is working and things like that. Your lighting's good. You know, you might want to invest in good lighting because that throws things off. When you're doing things on video, you might not be able to tell, right? You want to video yourself a couple of times and go back and look at it before you send it to somebody else. Because if your lighting's bad and they can't see you, and you know, things might just look crazy because your lighting's bad or something's off. You know, so make sure you proof it before you send it to somebody else. Right, and then moving on to 4, show your product. Right, if you have a product, show it. If there's some way to portray your service, right? Show that or somehow describe it in a way that will make your audience believe they can see it, right? If you're a masseuse, as I heard somebody say that they were, you know, at least show a picture of
Sorry
somebody.
to cut you off, Jim. Massage therapist, not a masseuse. There's a difference.
What's that?
Massage therapist, not a masseuse. There's a difference. But I was definitely listening to whatever you was about to say after that, though.
Okay. All right.
I'm curious.
So if you're a massage therapist, is that right? So if you're a massage therapist, you have to paint the picture, right? There's going to be some judges sitting there listening to you talking about what it is that you do. You have to somehow get them to relate to what it is having massage therapy, right? So you got to paint that picture with your words because you can't hold up and you can't say, well, I make these bottles right here, right? So if it's a service that you have to be so descriptive that people get it, right? A little later on in number 8, I'll get into that a little bit more. But you know, you really have to paint that picture to help them imagine exactly what it is that you do. And if you have a product and you don't have one that you can show, or at least a picture of it, you have to be so descriptive in describing it that they can imagine what it looks like, right? So you guys kind of get what I'm saying, right? You don't just want to say I make bottles. You want to say I make a tall, slender, slim bottle with with writing on it. And if you like basketball, I put basketball on it, and it's got this special tip. You know, you want to really talk about your product so that people can understand what it is that you do, because that's important. It's what separates you from everybody else. If you say I make a water bottle, you know, there's a million water bottles. The judge is going to be like, well, what's so special about that water bottle? Well, why should I invest in that? Right. So you want to make sure that they understand what it is exactly that you do. And number 5, know your audience. I keep talking about the judges. I don't know if Colette's going to share with you guys who your judges are going to be. Hopefully she will. But you guys need to know who your audience is, right? Who are these judges? Who are you pitching to? Because that's important. You want to appeal to their likes or their interests, right? You want to Google them. You want to find them on LinkedIn. You want to find out where they're from, what they like, who knows them. You know, if you guys got anybody in common, you want to talk to people who know them. You want to find out, you know, as much as you can about these folks, because they're who you're pitching to, right? If you know something about them, you want to try to cater your pitch to the things that they like, and even the things that they don't like, right? If you find out that, you know, one of the judges hates dogs, you don't want to go in there and start talking about dog stuff, all right? Because that's going to immediately turn them off. All right, so you want to find out as much as you can about your audience. In this particular case, you guys are pitching to a group of judges or a couple of judges. I'm not quite sure how many judges you're going to have, but whoever they are, try to find out as much as you can about them, and then cater your pitch to their likes and away from their dislikes. I'll put it that way. All right, the most successful people who are on Shark Tank, and I'm a Shark Tank nut. I tape every episode and I rewatch them, and that's just my jam. Shark Tank's my jam. So the most successful people on Shark Tank are those who do their research on the judges, right? Those who come in there and craft their pitch directly at a particular judge. And if you watch it enough, you'll be able to pick up on who that judge is, right? Every time I watch these pitches, and those who are savvy enough with their pitch, you can tell who they're pitching to. You can tell when they're pitching to Mark Cuban. You can tell when they're pitching to Mr. Wonderful. You can tell when they're pitching to Damon, right? You can tell. So they've done their homework, and you need to do your homework. You need to know who you're pitching to, and make sure that you know, you craft something that they're going to be interested in. Because once they're interested, now you got their attention, and it's more likely that they're gonna like what you have to say, or your product or your service or whatever it is that you're pitching, right? But it starts by getting them interested, and that brings us to number 6. Right? You got to have a hook. You got to have something to catch their attention. And typically, I coach folks to put that out there in the beginning. Right? Start your pitch with something that's going to make people say, "Oh, you know, okay, really?" Right? And that can be a number of things. Some people start their pitch with a joke. Right? They come in and say something funny. They get everybody loosened up, and now they want to hear what else you have to say. You know, now they want to know, well, are you going to continue to be funny? Right? You know, so a good joke could get their attention, but it's hard to tell a good joke. Right? Everybody doesn't have the skill to tell a good joke, but if you do, it could be good to start with a good joke. Right? A good joke. Timing and everything is hard. It sounds easy to start with a good joke, but it's hard. But you want to come in with something like maybe an interesting fact, something like that, right? Where people would say, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that." Like I used to be in the flooring business, and when I would pitch my flooring business, I would say, "Did you know that 85% of all work accidents were caused by slip and fall?" Right? And people say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Right? Now I got it. Right? Everybody works, or most people work. Most people can relate to having a slip and fall accident at some point in your life. You slipped on something. So that was a way to get. That was one of my hooks. It was one of my hooks. Right? So a good fact like that. You know, sometimes you might want to lead with a question. Right? Did you know? what the leading cause of most slip and falls were at work, right? Something like that. Do you know what the homeless rate is in Baltimore City? You know, ask a question and get them thinking. Now, not only are they thinking, oh, do I know that? Oh, it might be this, might be that. But now they're listening for what else you have to say, right? They're listening for the answer now. When you ask a question, whether they know it or not, they're listening. If they think they know it, they want to hear you say that they're right, right? If they don't know it, then now they're listening to hear you say what the answer is, right? So a good question is a good way to start as well. So, but whatever that is, whatever you come up with, you need a good hook, right? To get people listening to what you have to say. Number 7, I'm gonna stop here for a second. Any questions there? Okay, we're making good time. Number 7 is a good catchphrase or a good sound bite. Right. This is something because folks who judge these competitions, like myself, I do a lot of these. You know, we see a lot of people and we see a lot of repeat businesses, right? We see a lot of people doing a lot of the same things. So it's difficult for us to remember you. So you need to give us something to remember, right? So I don't know how many people are going to be in this particular pitch competition. So all of you are going to do a video pitch from what I understand. So that means it's 8 or 9 or more. Looks like 13 or 14. Will submit a video. And as these judges are looking through these videos, you know, if you're one of the first couple that they went through, by the time they get to 13 and 14, are they going to remember you? All right, or they remember what you did? When they look back on the page and they see your name, are they going to remember what you did? You've got to give them something to remember, right? And a great way of doing that is to have a catchphrase or a sound bite, right? And you want to say it a few times so that they get it and they equate that phrase with you, right? All the big companies have some kind of catchphrase or sound bite that many of us can recall. So if I said to you something like KFC, anybody know what KFC's catchphrase is?
I think it's finger looking good.
Finger looking good, yeah.
Finger looking good, right? You remember that. Nike, everybody knows Nike, right? Just do it. The lottery. Anybody know what the lottery is? And it changes. It depends on what state you're in. The lottery has a few of them.
Let yourself play?
Let yourself play is Maryland, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is a little different. But you know, these big companies have these catchphrases. And if you saw them do a pitch, you would remember that. They not only that, but they have a little jingle to go with them usually as well. So you might want to think about coming up with a good catchphrase or a good sound bite, not necessarily a jingle for a pitch, but again, let them remember something. If you start with it, you say it somewhere in the middle, and you always end with it, right? Wrap up with it. If you get a nice catchphrase, end your pitch with it, so it's the last thing that they hear. They're more likely to remember you. All right, and now we're at number 8, right? I touched on it earlier. Make them feel you, right? Maya Angelou said, they may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Right, so when I said early on that you ought to do some research on who these judges are going to be, right? Once you find out that they have a special interest or something, you want to see if you can incorporate that into your pitch. If they have a soft spot, you know that they're on the board of the SPCA and they're an animal lover or something. You might want to try to craft your pitch or somewhere in your story something about animals, right? Your joke could be about an animal. Your opening hook could be about you and your dog or your cat, something like that. You know, you want to try to hook them again. You know, this is the whole thing. And in order to do that, if they can feel you, right? If you get a really touching story about you, or about your product, or about your service, or someone who used your product, right? So if your body butter, right? That's a good product. So if somebody had a special skin condition, and after using your body butter, it cleared up their skin condition, and now, you know, it changed their life. I mean, that's a great story. You know, that's something that everybody can relate to. That's something that they would say, wow, you know, this product actually changed somebody's life, right? That's what make them feel you means. And it comes back to why you're doing what you're doing. What is your why, right? Not just that you're making body butter so you can make a couple dollars. You know, you're changing people's lives. People want to be a part of that, right? If you go in there and say, yeah, I make this body butter because I can make it for $5 and I can sell it for 10, and I'm making some good money at it. Nobody really wants to help you make more money, to be honest with you. You know, we're not out here trying to help you guys make more money, right? We can help anybody make more money. That's not why we do what we do. We do what we do to help change people's lives. If what you're doing is going to help more people, that's what we want to do. We want to invest in that. We want to invest in helping people, right? If you're a life coach, we want to help you help people grow, better their lives, live better lives, be happier, right? We want a world full of happy people. Because I'm here to tell you that money don't make people happy, although they think it does, right? We're not here to make sure everybody has enough money, because that's not going to make happy people. We want people to be happy. We want people to be better. And if your product or your service is helping people be happier or better in some kind of way, that's what the judges are going to want to invest in or vote for. All right, so share with them your why. Yes, you have a question?
And I didn't have a question. I was going to give them like a 5-minute break.
Okay. So what number we're on? We're on 8. All right, so we'll come back in 5 minutes and jump on number 9.
Okay. So everybody, if we could take a 5-minute break. I know that's a little quick, but we want to get through this and talk about some things as I mentioned before. So come back at let's call it 5 after 8. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we can all relate to that, wanting something so badly and can't find it anywhere, and then they come to you and you're able to craft that piece, that one piece that was going to, like, you know, finish that room off or something like that. So you gotta find ways again of telling these stories that people can relate to, right? That these judges can relate to. It's really hard. I would say it's probably the hardest in somebody, Rokia is a tech consultant, right? That's really hard to get somebody to feel tech, right? So you got to be creative in those spaces. You might want to talk about how maybe somebody's system got crashed or something. You came in and saved the day, with some kind of way with one of your products or one of your services to be able to save them from identity theft or data theft or something like that. You got to be creative because that's hard. I don't even know how to give you a good example of that. Hopefully you can figure that piece out. But again, you want something that they can relate to. Everybody can relate to identity theft. We're all afraid of that. So, and sometimes fear is the best way to get people to understand, to feel you, because we're all scared of something. So number 9, don't use too many slides, right? As you can see in my presentation, I keep them to a minimum. This particular presentation has 1 slide, right? I put all the information on there, and the rest we're just going to talk about it. Nobody wants to see too many slides. Again, you can look online and get a whole lot of information on what's too many. The general consensus is 11 is too many. Right? So you want to try to keep it under 10 generally, 10 or under, I should say. So not too many slides. Number 10 is don't have too many words. Right? People hate to read. So don't want to put too many words on your slides as you're flipping through. Have some points that you want to touch on, maybe bold them, but not too many. Like this particular slide, too many words. It really is. It's off-putting, even though you don't have to read them all. I'm not asking you to read them all. It's off-putting. You want to have as few words on the slide as you can, and just express what that slide means to your audience. All right. So again, not too many slides. Not too many words. And nobody wants to read a lot. And nobody wants to even be given the impression that they need to read a lot. Right? So number 11 is know your content. All right. Pretty much what I just said. So you want to know what you're talking about without having to read exactly what's on the slide. If nobody wants to read, and nobody wants to sit here and listen to you read. Right? You got to know what you're talking about. And if somebody asks you something that's not on the slide, you got to be able to answer those questions. Right. So again, know your business, know your numbers, know everything about your business, because more than likely the judges are going to know one of those judges are going to know something about your business. And they're probably going to ask you something to try to trip you up, something you didn't cover. Because that would be, if you already covered it, they wouldn't have to ask the question. So they're going to try to find something that you didn't cover to ask you about. So make sure you're prepared on everything, not just what's in your presentation. And number 12 is very important. Know what problem you're solving, right? Because that's why businesses are created, or I should say that's why businesses should be created, to solve a problem. I'm sure you guys went through a business plan class. If you haven't already gone through a business plan class, at some point you're going to go through a business plan class. And what your business plan should explain is what problem you're solving. Right? If nobody wants shea butter, then why are you making shea butter? If nobody has problems in their life for you to straighten out, then why are you a life coach? Right? If nobody wants custom furniture, why are you making custom furniture? Right? You have to be solving some kind of problem. You need to know exactly what that is. You need to be able to express exactly what that is. And you need to be able to express exactly how you're going to solve it. You and your team, you and your company, you and your product. How are you solving that problem? And the bigger the problem, the more interesting these judges and everybody else will be in you and your product. All right. If you got something that's going to solve world hunger, I guarantee you everybody will listen to that. If you said you had a solution to homelessness, everybody will listen to that. If you said you think you can cure cancer, everybody will listen. All right. The bigger the problem, the more interesting it is. So you need to have a problem. What it is that you're doing should be solved. To express that in your pitch and make sure that you have a good solution, because everybody wants to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. If the problem is big enough, people want to be a part of that. People's lives, you're changing people's homes, people's skin. If you're making people feel better, everybody wants to be a part of that, right? So you're solving a problem. People want to help you solve that problem. 13, competition. All right, who's your competition? You need to know everything about your competition. Who they are, what they do, who their customers are, right? Because coming off this pandemic, it's very important that folks know who their competition is and who their customers are. because you're all fighting for each other's customers. Right? If your sales drop off, you got to find some customers somewhere. So you need to know exactly why your customers, your competition's customers, are doing business with them, because you might need to do the same thing. Right? It's so funny to me how many times I hear when I ask somebody, who's your competition? They say, well, I don't have no competition. Nobody bakes cakes like me. Yeah, well, they may not bake cakes like you, but there's a whole lot of people out here baking cakes. Right? Nobody details cars like me. Almost every detailer I talk to says, yeah, but nobody details cars like me. Yeah, but there's a whole lot of people detailing cars. Right? So what is it that's so special about you? And how are you going to differentiate yourself from the next person doing the same thing that you're doing? Because there's a whole lot of people doing what you're doing. You know, but you got to differentiate yourself. And the only way you're going to know whether you're differentiating yourself is to know your competition. You got to know what they're doing. I guarantee you that McDonald's knows what Burger King is doing. I guarantee you that Burger King knows what Wendy's is doing. Right? None of them said, well, McDonald's is already making hamburgers, so I'm not going to go into that business. Now, what they said to themselves is, this is how McDonald's is making hamburgers, and I'm going to do it this way. They make theirs on a grill. I'm going to flame broil mine. And then Wendy's came along and said, I'm going to use fresh meat, and it's going to be square and not round. Right? So don't be afraid of competition, but you got to know the competition. You got to know everything about them, because you're competing with them every single day. And almost everybody's in competition with Amazon, because Amazon does everything. Right? So you got to know a lot about Amazon and everybody else that's out there doing all of the things, because they're your competition, and you have to know how to compete with them and differentiate yourself so that when people are looking for your product or service, they don't go to them and they come to you. Right? So work on that problem and make sure that you express that in your pitch. Now we're covering a lot. These are a lot of things to put into a 3-minute pitch. And I shared with you earlier about a competition over in Salisbury. Over in Salisbury, you got 1 minute. You got 60 seconds to pitch. So you got to put all this in 60 seconds. All right, so sometimes you're going to have a minute. Typically, you have about 3. Sometimes you have 5. We do one at the ETC Center where we have 5 minutes. But, you know, it's a little bit of time to put a lot of information in. So 14, and we're almost done. 14 is be specific, right? So if somebody asks you what your profit margins are, don't say, oh, about 5%. No, I have about a 50% markup, you know. No, exactly. What does your product cost you? How much are you selling it for? And what is your profit margin? All right, you need to know these numbers exactly. If somebody asks you, you have a possibility of winning $1,000, what are you going to do with that money? You're not going to say, well, I'm going to stick it in the bank and sooner or later I'll need it for something. They're not going to give you any money. You need to say, first, I'm going to do this. That's going to cost $300. I'm going to do that. That's going to cost $300. I'm going to do this, cost $300. And then with the last $100, I'm going to use that for working capital. Right? You got to be very specific. You have to know that you come into this with a plan. And not, I think I might, I was thinking about, I'll probably, no, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do this. Thank you for giving me the money. You know, I couldn't do this without you. Right? These judges have egos. We have egos. Right? We want to know that the reason why we do these is because we want to help some people. All right? So if you tell me that you're really not interested in our little bit of money, then I'm not interested in helping you. Right? So you have to make it very clear that not only are you interested in the money that you can win, but you know exactly what you're going to do with it if you happen to get it. All right, so we good there? And then So any questions before we get into our last topic here? All right, so finally, number 15 is count all of your wins, right? This is something that not enough people do. You don't count all of your wins. So if you're in this particular competition and you don't win the big prize, doesn't mean that you lost, or you won a lot. The fact that you're in this program is a win. Right? How long did you talk about getting into a program? Oh, I'm gonna do it next year. I'm gonna do it next year. Oh, it's a new year. I'm gonna do it this year. Right? You're in the program. That's a win. Right? You finished the program. This is the last class. You already won. That's 2 wins right there. You're in the program and you completed it. That's 2 wins. Right? You put together a pitch. You know, at some point, you're going to have your pitch together. That's a win. Right? All these are wins. If you've done a business plan in one of the early class, you won. You already won. Right? If you make a new connection, we got 15 people online. I'm assuming that when you first started, you probably had more, and you made a connection along the way, hopefully quite a few. Right? That's a win. Just by being a part of this class, you got to know Miss Colette, you got to know me, you got to know the other presenters, right? There's 30-some people who now are familiar with you and what you do. That's a win, right? Feel good about yourself. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself an award, star, right? That's a win. Count your wins. Count all of your wins. And keep going. Right? So at this point in the program, you already have 5 or 6 wins. You're winning. This is just one more step. Win or lose, you've already won. Right? You got 6 wins already. This is just another step. So you're going to be in this pitch competition, whether you get selected or not. You know, you've already won. You already get 6, 7 wins under your belt. You know, whether you're selected or not, you're going to move on. You're going to take another program. You're going to grow your business. You know, get more customers. Every customer is a win. Every time you come up with a marketing plan, you decide, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and take that next step and do that Facebook advertising, or do that Instagram advertising, or create my Instagram page, my business page, not just my personal. I'm gonna switch from my personal to a business page, right? That's a win. All right, you finally took that next step. Every time you take that next step, that's a win. So be proud of yourselves. I hope you are. You know, I want to congratulate all of you for coming this far. And I hope that you congratulate yourselves for already coming as far as you have. So that's all I have on this section in terms of pitching. Does anybody have any questions about some of the things that we covered so far? And I don't know how much time we have left. You're going to have to let me know if we have time to get into some other stuff real quick, or we're just going to wrap it up with questions now.
I would, yeah, you probably have about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I would ask for questions.
Okay. So just briefly, I want to touch on some of the other things that I cover in this, like identifying the right competition. Right. So I told you about some competitions that I do all over the country. So for you, you know, this particular class is about this particular pitch competition. But as you move past this and you're looking for competitions to be in, you got to identify the right competition, right? And some of the things you want to consider is the location. You know, where is it located? Are you going to be able to do business with the folks in that area, right? Who sponsors it? Sometimes you want to get close to the sponsors, right? If you know you want to do banking with M&T Bank and M&T Bank as a sponsor, you might want to be in that program, right? What is their theme? What is the theme of the pitch company? If it's women, obviously it's a good fit for you. All right, so you want to think about the theme. If it's a men's program, it's probably not the right fit for you, right? So you would think about the theme. You would think about the amount of the prize. Is it worth it to you? All right, if I tell you that there's a competition in Detroit and it's for $500, is it worth it for you to get a $500 flight to Detroit to win $500? Probably not, right? But if I told you that, who's going to be in the audience, I told Colette, I think, a story about a group of guys I took from Baltimore to San Francisco one year, to Afrotech. And they happened to win. So they went to San Francisco. They actually won the prize, which was $10,000. So that's a win. But more importantly, in the audience was SoFi, the largest online financial company in the world, was in the audience and saw their pitch and decided to invest in them. So they partnered with them just from their pitch. So another reason why you want to do these pitch competitions is you never know who's going to see it. You just never know, because everybody shares everything online, and you just never know who's going to be in the audience. You never know who's going to be in your group. You never know who's going to be the judge, the sponsor. In our last competition we did with our program, I kind of shared with the folks in my group that, you know, there could be some folks that I'm going to introduce you to that could change your life. And in our last, our particular pitch competition, one of the judges wanted to meet one of the people that pitched in our competition, and it looked like he's probably going to buy this guy's company, right? And again, this will change this young man's life, and you never know who's watching, so you want to pitch as much as you can. Again, taking all these things into account, the promotions that they can do for you, just having your name on some of the promotions that some of these programs do and these contests do could be a big win for you. And again, I think I said something about the judges. You know, you never know who the judges are and what they could possibly do for you and your business. So that's just a couple of things I wanted to touch on. And then real quick, to wrap things up, there are some things you need to do before the competition, like letting people know where you're going to be, where you're going to be pitching. If you have a product that's universal, that you can sell online, and you're doing a pitch competition in Detroit, you want to try to let everybody know you're going to be there. You want to try to reach out to some local influencers in the area. Could be newspapers, could be bloggers, could be social media folks. Let them know you're going to be there. You want to advertise in the area, get as much information as you can out to people. Let them know you're going to be there before you even get there. Right? And then you want to build your support while you're there. Reach out to as many people as you can. Again, get that buzz going, get people looking for you in your pitch competition. And then after the competition, you want to make sure that you, review in your head all your notes, all the things that the judges say to you, all the critiques that you get, right? You want to do that immediately afterwards so you don't forget. Right? You want to make note of all the connections that you made so you can reach out to those people later. And all the questions that the judges asked you that you couldn't answer, you want to make sure you write those down and make sure that you never are not able to answer those questions again. And then you want to reach out to any contacts that you made, reach out to the judges and the sponsors, thanking them, right? So you can stay top of mind, ask them if you can connect with them. Right? Because again, many of these folks are people who could change your life. And then you want to reach out to as much media as you can to try to get as much coverage or find out if somebody did cover it, right? Because if you're in that story, you want to know it. You want to get a copy of that and help you with your marketing. So that's about all we have time for tonight. I hope you folks learned something. I hope you heard something new tonight.
Why don't we take questions, Jim?
Yes, please. Any questions?
I have a question for Colette.
Okay.
For round one, I think last class I wrote down January 19th, but I think the email said January 23rd. So I want to make sure I know when round one is happening and make sure I know when round two is happening.
January 19th is round one.
Okay. The email that came out today said the 23rd.
Chloe?
Yeah, I was ready to answer that. That probably was error on my behalf, but round 1 is going to be January 19th. You have until 11:59 for submission. That information will be going out tonight. Round 2 is February 23rd. Okay. Sorry for the mishap.
It's okay. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Any questions for Jim?
Do you have any opportunity, any options, any chances for us to practice our pitch with you before the pitch?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, reach out. I'd love to hear your pitch.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I'm on everything. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can find me.
I'll try to drop some of your
Jim P at M&T.
Can you say that again? What was the last thing you said?
Jim P at M&T on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Any other questions? Any questions about knowing your numbers?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of went really quick over those last few slides. Will there be a way for us to get that content? I was just taking some notes on the things you said.
Yeah, I can send this whole slide thing to you.
Oh, thanks.
Again, the information is good. They're not pretty, but the information is good.
Can you go a little bit more into the numbers? Like, I know some of the numbers may be you know, how many clients you had. Is it like in a year, or is it like since you started your business, or like how do you do
it's a little bit of both. So for you haven't been in business that long, right? So a year and since you started is kind of like the same thing. But typically people want to know the last 12 months.
Okay.
Right.
Can I also jump in here and say that you're trying to tell a story and you're trying to tell a good story.
Yeah.
So you know, how you craft your story is very important. So if in the last month it was sliding, you may want to tell another part of your story.
Yeah, there you go. Or average it, right? If the average is great, you want to talk about the average. Right? If last month was trash, you don't want to talk about last month, right? You want to paint the best picture that you can.
Now, where that might be difficult is in round 2. Remember, round 1, you're just submitting a video. Round 2, you are before people who can ask you questions, and they may be more pointed to ask you, well, what happened in the last month? And, you know, you will still have to tell a story about that. And if, you know, like Jim, I watch Shark Tank, and you see some people dance, dance during that. Some people skip over the question.
I tell you what not to do. Don't say COVID.
Yeah, don't say COVID.
Because we're over COVID, right? We all know that COVID was bad. We know we've been in the pandemic, but you got to know why, right? Last month was trash. Why? Maybe I should have did this. Maybe I should have done that. I know exactly why it was, and I've already straightened it out because this month is trending to do a lot better, right? That's what people want to hear. They want to hear solutions. They don't want to hear, well, it was COVID.
Yeah, and I think everybody understands that in business there's a cycle, and one, they are listening for how do you come out of those lows? How do you survive? How do you survive the lows, or how do you intend to survive a low? And most of the judges that you will be before have had lows, just so that you know. That the second set of judges have had lows, and they will more than likely ask you what would you do if, or how do you plan to survive if, because we've all gone through COVID, if God forbid, if the locusts come, what are you going to do? what would you do?
Right, and you got to build that in. You ladies are kind of new in your venture, right? So most of you are fairly new to this business thing. But as you move forward, you always will now, having gone through what you're going through, you're always going to have that contingency. As you're writing your business plans, there should always be a contingency. See, I've been in business now long enough to have been through 2001, 9/11 when things crashed. And my business was focused on fire stations, right? The business I was in was a business for fire stations. And my business crashed completely, right? So I've been through 2001. I've been through 2008, when at that time my focus was automotive dealerships. And all the automotive dealerships went out of business. Right, so I'm expecting, every business I'm involved in now, I'm expecting a pandemic. I'm expecting a crash, and I'm always thinking, what am I going to do if my target audience goes away? That's why I keep a good eye on my competition, because I'm always looking to see, where am I going to get customers if I have to? Right, and that's what you ladies are going to have to learn how to do. So the pandemic, in my opinion, others may differ, but you guys getting started during a pandemic is actually a good thing for you, right? First of all, you're still here. We're already 1 year in, and you're still here. So that's a good thing. Again, another win, right? And as you move forward, you're always going to have in the back of your head, well, what's going to happen if the customer base that I have right now goes away, right? What did I do then? How did I get through that? You have that to lean on. You have that knowledge and that experience to lean on, because you've done it before and you can do it again.
I have a question. I have two questions. So actually, our business actually did really well because of COVID, because we were helping professionals who got laid off and hadn't looked for a job in years and all of that type of stuff. When hopefully, and the thing so we've been running the Baltimore Job Hunter Support Group for 10 years. And when there's not a big event like this, people forget that there's still people, that 20 million people get laid off every year. People just so we actually did well with that. So I think in my pitch, I may have to mention that. I don't know. I'll try not to say COVID too many times, but anyway. So my other question is, because I know you're very busy, in viewing our pitch or trying out our pitch, would you prefer that we did that live? If we sent you a script, if we sent you a video, what would be the most time efficient way or part of the pitch? Like, what would be the most time effective for you?
If you can find
I want to start that answer, and then you finish. Jim, in the last hour, told you some things about himself. And he also told you that you have to appeal to the judges for their interests. So if you applied some of that to your question, you might have the answer. Now, he can answer you, but I'm just saying, this is what he means. This is what he means by getting to know the judges, is that you figure out what appeals to them, and then you try to make that, you make your pitch or your presentation appealing to them. Although he's not a judge, he may prefer certain ways of receiving information, and think he might be a visual person as opposed to the person, and I'm trying not to give away some of the answers, but as opposed to just receiving a typed piece of paper. But I'll let him actually answer the question.
Yeah, if you can find a way to get your video to me through email, that would be fine. But although some of those videos are too large to email. So just fine. I you can't call me up in the middle of the day and say, hey, Jim, let me run this by you. I need to be able to get to it on my time. So if you can.
Well, I figured that. That's why I wanted to ask the question. And I understand that what it appeals to Mr. Peterson may not appeal to Miss Dawkins and Miss Kim.
Yeah.
I did look both of them up. So I'm figuring for Miss Dawkins, I'm definitely going to mention that I was recently in a PBS special. Okay. And for Miss Kate, I think where we relate is that she does have an interest in mental health. So, and I'll have to review what Mr. Peterson might be interested in. But yes, thank you. I will take all of that under advisement. Thank you.
Yeah, so and don't craft your pitch for me because I'm not judging you, but I'm going to judge you based on how they would judge you. So just as everybody know, I'm going to judge you based on how they would judge you.
And remember that it's 3 minutes long. And part of the reason why we limit it to 3 minutes is so that if we feel like that was short enough and long enough that it would get through the pipeline of not being too large to receive.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
And if you're having trouble, you need to let us know.
I think if you upload it onto YouTube and use that link, 3 minutes should be fine. That's probably what I'll do.
Does everybody know how to do that?
If you can put in a Google Doc and give me the link, I can get.
I can try that too. Okay.
Put it in Dropbox. Put it in Dropbox. I can do it that way.
All right. I'll figure it out.
All right. Sure.
Everybody, including myself, might not be tech savvy. If you need some assistance in that, we're not going to edit your video, but if you get it down to the 3 minutes and you're having difficulty uploading it, we will help with that.
We'll call Chloe because she's a millennial.
Uh-oh.
LOL.
Any other questions?
Yes, one question. So with that being said, then is there one way that you want it or resource where you want us to download it? So
no, not in particular.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Yep.
Were you asking that of Jim or me?
Of you.
Huh?
Of you for our 3 minutes.
For your final, Chloe, yep. I'll let Chloe answer that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mia, I didn't hear your question.
I was trying to find out, is there one way that you want our video downloaded? Are we using Google Docs or putting it in Drive? Okay.
Yeah, there are more instructions in the email, but essentially all of the alternatives you guys listed are what I've recommended. So I'd like for you all to email it, but if that doesn't work, you could also submit it via YouTube and just show me a link, or Vimeo, also Google Drive. You can share a video through that format as well. However you guys can get 3 minutes to me. I know that sometimes it's, when you try to send a video through email, there are problems, but, let me know. I'm here to work with you too.
Thank you.
So I'd like for you all to stick around a moment, but before we have our private chat, I'd like to thank Jim for his time and all the nuggets that he has bestowed upon us, because it's not, they're not just nuggets for pitching, they're nuggets for your business in general and moving your business forward. And so for that, the information that you're receiving is priceless. I do encourage you to follow Jim. Jim is a very interesting person, and he has a lot to offer, well beyond just pitching. So I encourage you, if you're not connected, to get connected. And since he's willing to help and he does know the rules, it is he would be a good tip for you all, period. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And please, I gotta say, give me some time, right? I need a little time. Don't send it to me the night before. Right? Give me a few days to get to it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys.
I appreciate it. I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies, I want to say something to you that I hope to encourage you. This is something that is different every time I present it in training, anytime I'm talking before a group. And it's just my way of saying that, you know, you all are terrific in what it is that you're doing. The very fact that you have businesses and even want to start a business or two, Ms. Stamper, or two, and you dream big is a win. And so what I want to do is my stick to let you know that I think that whatever you dream is always possible if you just get out there and try. And so what I say to that is you always step out there and feel like you need a lifesaver, right? And when you get out there, you don't know what to call it, so you just call it whatchamacallit, okay? And then sometimes people, you know, you have the wrong crowds around you, and they are your haters. And so you just consider them to be your airheads, right? And you place them aside. And sometimes you have butterflies in your stomach and it feels like the Skittles. But you end up tasting the rainbow at the end because you often feel like you have joy. You have joy in your soul. When you help people, you treat people, that furniture that I really want to know about that can bring me some joy, right? And a lot of people will go out there and they will snicker and make fun of what it is that you're doing and how you're doing. And they don't support you the way that you want to support. You wanted support and you feel like you're in that crunch, right? And you don't know what to do. But let me tell you, the classes that you were in, all of you all that have gotten together and have asked the questions are just like the Musketeers for asking and supporting one another, because everything is going to work out fine for you. The butterflies will settle and everything will be muy bueno, okay? And then you will feel like everything will unwind and it will no longer be like Twizzlers all twisted up. It'll come out just fine. And you will see that you are all like the starburst, because we are all gonna go for that big, what? Payday, that big payday, that $1,500 that will be sitting there for the one person who's gonna come through with everything that they have learned throughout the 8 weeks. And so for that, I give you the big ups, the high fives to say, thank you all for being with us for the 8 weeks. This was a pilot to see if the Women's Forum could support women as they are going through their journey. And if we could even get the money to support a program like this. I think that we have been successful. We may have had many people on there from the very beginning, but guess what? We have you all, and that's what counts. And that's what counts. Even Jim, he didn't say it. He was like, wait, you have how many left? And I said, yeah, there's like 10 people left. And he said, that is really good. And it was encouraging for me. So I appreciate you all in sticking with this. You know, I don't, one day, Okay, I left out one. One day I hope to have 100 grand to give to you all. And then you all will follow me. So continue to follow the Women's Leadership Forum in the things that we do, because we plan to do great things for all of you women, and touch as many lives as we possibly can for helping you to move forward. With that, I have reached out, privately to some of you all, and I want to be more public with this offering. Any of you all could participate in the Women's Leadership Forum. We're asking, the tables are $200 for 3 days. I'm asking for you all to contribute $100 if you'd like to have a table. And what does that mean? That means that you are in a virtual space, much like QVC, pitching and selling your products, pitching and selling. Some of you all have things to pitch, some of you all have things to sell. And so it only takes $100. We think, I found out in my research afterwards that's cheap. And we want to get your names out there. And the vending part is not a money-making part for us. That is not a money-making part for us. But we want to make sure that we can sustain ourselves and that we can continue to do what we're doing. One day we're going to be back in person and it'll be a different story. But in the virtual space, we want to make sure that we can get as much exposure as we can while we are in this COVID period, and bring as many women to the table with our program. So I know that, if you need some testimony, maybe Janet can talk to you and tell of the power of the Women's Leadership Forum, because she has been in previous years. And we invite you all. The program itself is free to you all. We want to make sure that you get an invite, but we also want to make sure that you have exposure. And so if you've never done this before, this is an opportunity to find out. And Nick can tell you, because we see her on these videos, on how to present yourself in the video. So we want to make sure that we can do all that we can to help promote you, get you out there. I also want to let you know that I have now partnered with Morgan and their women's small business area. And we are going to be providing programming in the future that is powered by EDACT, or their business area. And we will be doing more pitch things, more women-centered things, because I personally could not handle it all. I wanted to be able to say to them that we had a pitch program, that women enjoyed it. I want to be able to say that we have lessons and we would like to be a part of them, and be able to help them to market their program across the world. So we want bigger and better things for ourselves too. So meeting Jim led me to Morgan, will lead me to other things. I have other partners. And so I want you all to look for bigger and better things from us. And if you are interested in a partnership with us, we are open to any kind of a pitch that will help promote women going forward and help promote your business too. So that was my little 2 minutes or 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. At this time, if you have any questions regarding what should happen on the 12th? No, is that right? Yeah, 12th. Is that the right date? Chloe?
You mean the 19th?
That's what I'm trying to say. The 19th? Thank you. I'm looking at the calendars up for the 12th. I don't know why.
Yeah.
On the 19th, you can reach out to me, reach out to Chloe, and Jim has offered his assistance. please, please, please ask your questions because that's what we're here for.
So I'm definitely down for being a vendor. Will Chloe be sending us how we do that? Is there like a code or something we need to know?
Yes, I will send you further information. Anyone else who's interested in becoming a vendor, please go ahead and privately chat me so I can get your name on this list that I'm creating. Thank you. I see you too, Nick.
Let me just tell you, and I'm going to come to you, Nick, because I see your hand up. The vending is really on you. We are not what we are grateful of is the power of social media. And so when you come to us, what we end up doing is promoting you through our social media to say that you are a vendor of the Women's Leadership Forum and what to look out for. And we promote you throughout the Women's Leadership Forum. What you will have to do is really make yourself Miss QVC. You are selling your product, your nonprofit or whatever it is that you're selling, you are going to have to do a great job of that. The selling will go on 3 days. There's some timing in that because we don't have selling during a keynote speaker. But you set up your tables just like QVC kind of. And if you don't have a table in that fashion because you don't have product, you have to be creative in that. Some people just submit video. They submit video, let the video run for them throughout the programming. Be imaginative. That's what all that I can say. And then ask us, is this something that you would think would be appealing to the groups that come to the forum? And Nick, and then Teresa.
Oh, I was just raising my hand about the vendor space.
Okay, high five. Teresa?
Colette, this has just been a really good experience for me. I thank you for leading this effort for everyone. I wanted to know, is there an opportunity to complete an evaluation? I'm not sure if data like that would be helpful as you launch your program in the future. But if there is an evaluation or a way to provide feedback, I would love to do so.
Okay, and I appreciate that. And I have not been quick enough to get that evaluation together, but I will get it together and get it out to you all. And many of you know that this is not my job, it's my passion. And my job is a passion. This is another passion of mine. And so my job allows me to perform. I'm fortunate that my job allows me to perform my passion on its time and in some instances with its dime. And so we've had a lot going on with the governor, putting out new edicts and the weather. And so I've been hustling. This is part of my vacation. This is supposed to be the last day of my vacation. I haven't had a real one, but what I do enjoy is being able to see progress. And what I like is watching you all, either in your promotion of yourselves on LinkedIn and Facebook and it's implementing some of the things that you have learned. And so that is the reward that I really get and I'm truly proud of. And I'm proud of the comments that you all give for the program.
I just wanted to echo, this has been really amazing. I learned a lot. I was reminded of a lot of things, and it was really great to just be a group of women in the room to have these conversations. So Colette, I just really appreciate the work that you and Chloe have been doing. And yes, I do love Morgan State University.
That's so great. That's so great. That is so great. I want to say something because like at the very beginning, it seemed like you all were a little shy and trying to figure out like who's in the room, should I raise my hand or say something? And one of the things I want to tell you about the Women's Leadership Forum, when we have the forum, no matter how big it gets, it ends up like this. It ends up where women laugh together, they cry, they tell stories, some longer than the other, but they are themselves. And that's what we tout ourselves for, being extremely authentic, engaging, and conversational. The ones that get invited back, the facilitators that get invited back are the ones that can keep, that can impart wisdom and involve you in what it is that they're doing. And so I'm promising you all a good forum that's chock full. The room it'll be full. That's what I'm promising.
I want to echo what everyone else is saying. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And it was funny because my supervisor was the one who told me about this. Oh. And I never said anything about my supervisor and how you guys are connected or anything like that. But I really, I'm not going to tell you. You won't know until after, because I don't want
That's not fair.
Listen, we're not trying, no, But I do want to share that, I'm thankful for this opportunity. This has helped me so much. And I'm thankful for the connections that I've made with women. Sometimes, especially in a pandemic, it's hard to connect with women or other people, but being able to connect with women on a business level, on a level where we're not competing against one another. Like, we're trying to build one another up. And I really value this. Like this, if nothing else, having this connection, meeting other women that are aspiring to be